Hello, hello, hello. We meet again. Welcome back when authors made bestsellers and created Chismis has history. This is MelKat, and today we are entering one of the most dramatic literary courtrooms in history. Not a regular courtroom, not a barangay hearing, not a comment section trial. No. Today we are entering hell, purgatory, paradise. Because today we are talking about Dante Alighieri and the Divine Comedy, or as I like to call it, Dante and the ultimate literary revenge list. Interesting. Now, if you have ever been mad at someone, you probably wrote a message in your notes app. Maybe you typed a long rant. Maybe you deleted it. Maybe you said, I choose peace, while eyebrows says otherwise. But Dante wrote an entire masterpiece. And inside that masterpiece, he placed a real historical people, political enemies, religious figures, mythological characters, and public personalities in different parts of the afterlife. Ang juicy. Imagine being someone's enemy, and then centuries later, students are still reading about where that person placed you in hell. What the fudge? Kaloka. That is not just literature. That is internal bad PR with reading schemes. Now, before anything else, let us be fair, okay? The Divine Comedy is not just a revenge text. Alright? No. It is a massive spiritual, philosophical, theological, political, and poetic work. Wow, ang daming kal. Oh my God, okay. How many is that? Spiritual, philosophical, theological, political, before naging poetic work. Okay. Okay. It talks about sin, justice, love, repentance, divine order, and the soul's journey towards God. So no, we are not reducing Dante into an angry poet with a list. No. But also, he had a list. And the list had names. Kaloka, right? The Divine Comedy follows Dante as a character traveling through three realms, which is the Inferno, which is hell, Purgatorio, which is purgatory, and Paradiso, which is heaven or paradise. He's guided first by a Roman poet, Virgil, and later by Beatrice. Very symbolic, very literary, very spiritual GPS. But what makes the work extra fascinating is that Dante did not only fill the afterlife with abstract examples, he filled it with recognizable figures. People from mythology, people from the Bible, people from history, people from politics, people connected to the conflicts of his own world. Ang daming people nun ah. So habang naglalakad siya sa afterlife, or while he was walking on the afterlife, parang may guest list talaga. Or basically, he got a guest list. But not the kind of guest list you wanted to be on. Because if Dante placed you somewhere unpleasant, congratulations! You just become part of the medieval literary history. Oh my god. Now here is where the Chismis becomes history, okay? Dante lived in a time of intense political conflict in Florence, alright? There were functions, there were power struggles, there were exiles, there were betrayals, there were church and state tension at that time. And Dante himself was exiled from Florence. He lost his home, he lost his political position, he lived with the pain of being pushed out from the city he loved. So when he wrote the Divine Comedy, he was not writing from the neutral floating cloud. He was writing with theology, grief, politics, philosophy, longing, judgment, memory of all sitting beside him. That is why this text is powerful, because he is not just here in the afterlife. No, it is also, here is how one poet understood justice, corruption, betrayal, and the moral order of the world. Ang lalim. And sometimes that moral order had addresses, specific addresses with names. Boom. Mind blown. Now, imagine the power of that. If you are a ruler, a pope, a traitor, a political rival, or someone Dante thought represented moral failure, and he placed you in the architecture of the afterlife, that is no longer just an opinion, that becomes literature. Then students study it, scholars discuss it, and artists painted it or painted it. Readers remember it. Suddenly, your reputation is not only in history, your reputation is in hell. Kaloka. And that is why Dante belongs in this segment, because he shows us how an author can turn personal, political, and spiritual judgment into structure that survives for centuries. He did not just write a poem, he built a moral map. And inside that map, he placed people where he believed they belong. Now, disclaimer, okay? This does not mean we should read Dante as a simple gossip document. No, I did not say that. The Divine Comedy is layered. It's symbolic, it is theological, it is literary art. It is not a random burned book with a Latin lighting. But we also cannot ignore the fact that public memory loves a dramatic placement. So once a person remembered as someone Dante put in hell, that becomes sticky. Very, very sticky. Like medieval reputation glue. And here is the bigger question, okay? Excuse me. Sorry. So, what happens when a brilliant writer turns judgment into art? Because art can be preserved. Art can illuminate. Art can expose corruption. Art can challenge power. But art can also bring people so strongly that future generations meet them through the author's judgment first. Oh my God. And that is where discernment enters. Because when you read Dante, you or we are not only asking, who is in hell? We are also asking, why did Dante put them there? What was the theology? What is the politics? What was the personal history? What was the cultural conflict? What is the message he wanted readers to receive? Because sometimes a literary masterpiece is also an archive of an author's wounds. And Dante had wounds. Exile wounds, political wounds, spiritual wounds, love wounds, city wounds. And he turned those wounds into one of the most influential work in world literature. And that is beautiful. That is terrifying. That is powerful. Because imagine having enough literary skill that your disappointment becomes curriculum, right? Kaloka. This is where I want us to slow down, okay? Because Dante works as something uncomfortable. When we tell stories about people who hurt us, betray us, disappointed us, okay, or basically represented everything we think is wrong, are we telling the truth? Are we creating justice? Are we making art? Or are we building a permanent room for them inside our version of history? Ang deep, di ba? Kaloka. Sobrang deep. Mapapaisip ka talaga eh. You are going to really think about it. And again, Dante is not small, okay? He is not petty in the simple sense. The Divine Comedy is too grand for that. Very grand. But that's exactly why it matters. Because the greater the art, the longer the judgment can survive. People may forget the original argument. They may forget the function. They may forget the political paperwork. But I'm sorry, let me rephrase. But they remember the image. They remember the cycle. They remember the punishment. They remember the poet's placement. And once that happens, the Chismis becomes canon in public imagination. So maybe the real question is not, did Dante put people he disliked in hell? The better question is, what happens when an author becomes powerful enough to make judgment unforgettable? Ang lalim, right? Because that is the danger and beauty of literature. It can make justice visible, but it can also make one person moral map feel like an actual map. And that, everyone, is why Dante's Divine Comedy is not only a spiritual journey, it is also one of history's most dramatic examples of literature shaping reputation. So the final thought, people ask, what did Dante put in hell? But the deeper question is this: who gave the poet the power to decide how they would be remembered? The Chismis was Dante sent people to hell, But the deeper history might be a wounded, brilliant poet turned politics or turned politics, theology, grief, and justice into a map of eternity. And centuries later, we are still reading the guest list. Pack, pack, pack. And that, everyone, is how an afterlife poem become one of the most unforgettable repetition machines in literary history. That is episode 5 of When Authors Made Bestsellers and Created Chismis as History. I am MelKat. Read the poem, read the politics, read the wound behind the judgment. And before we laugh at who got placed where, let us ask what kind of power an author holds when the page becomes someone else's afterlife. I'll see you on the next episode. Good night.